Because I know the thoughts that I have toward you, says the Lord, thoughts of peace and not of evil, to give you the end that you hope for. Jeremiah 29:11. This verse reminds us that even amidst life's challenges, God has a plan for each of us. Often we let fear and doubt distance us from the dreams He has planted in our hearts. However, He invites us to dream again, to believe that every project, no matter how daunting it seems, is under His guidance. How many times do we feel paralyzed in the face of a new challenge? The fear of failure can make us give up before we even try. But the truth is that God is always by our side, offering support and strength. He knows our longings, our insecurities, and reminds us that we are not alone. We need to open ourselves to the possibility of a miracle, even if our eyes cannot yet see the fulfillment of our desires. Today, I invite you to reflect on what has been holding you back from taking the first step toward the dreams God has placed in your heart. Have you stopped to think that, even in the face of uncertainty, it is possible to act with faith? It is time to put aside fear and allow hope to take over your life. Are you willing to take that step? By surrendering to God and trusting in His plans, we make room for Him to accomplish the extraordinary in us and through us. Let us, with open hearts, prepare for a transformative experience, knowing that the Creator of all is guiding us in every step we take. When we face moments of uncertainty, it is common to feel alone and helpless. However, it is essential to remember that we are not alone in our struggles. In Isaiah chapter 41, verse 10, we find a powerful reminder. Do not fear, for I am with you. Do not be dismayed, for I am your God. This passage encourages us to trust that, even in the storms of life, there is a constant support that sustains us. God is by our side, ready to strengthen and guide us. It is important to reflect on how this message applies to our lives. When challenges arise, our first reaction is often to feel powerless and fearful. The fear of failure can paralyze us and distance us from the dreams that God has placed in our hearts. However, by remembering that He is with us, we can find the courage necessary to take the first step, even if that step is small. God knows us deeply, including our fears and insecurities. He understands the worries that prevent us from moving forward and invites us to place those worries in His hands. When we are willing to trust Him, we create space for Him to act in our lives. Faith does not mean we won't have fear, but that despite our fear, we choose to believe He is working in our favor. Imagine the life of someone who, even in the face of a challenging diagnosis, decides to place their trust in God. This person does not ignore reality but chooses to believe that if there is anyone who can bring healing and hope, it is God. This teaches us that faith is an act of courage that moves us toward the miracle we wish to see, even when the situation seems hopeless. As we look at the stories of biblical characters like Moses, we see that he also faced his insecurities. He hesitated to accept God's call, fearing he was not enough. But even in the face of his fears, God gave him the strength and resources necessary to fulfill His purpose. Like Moses, we are called to act, even when we do not feel ready. It is in that action that faith is manifested, and this is how God accomplishes the extraordinary. Therefore, as we reflect on our own challenges, let us remember that God is always by our side. He offers us courage to face the unknown and invites us to move forward with confidence. By doing so, we prepare ourselves to receive the blessings He has reserved for us. Do not let fear prevent you from moving forward. Remember that every step taken in faith is a step toward the divine purpose that is revealed in your life. Lord, today I come before you with an open heart, acknowledging my fears and insecurities. Many times I feel paralyzed in front of challenges that seem greater than I am. I want to confess that there are moments when I let fear prevent me from acting, forgetting that you are with me. In Isaiah chapter 41, verse 10, you assure us that we should not fear, for you are by our side. Help me to remember this truth when uncertainties surround me and courage fails me. I thank you, Lord, for your constant presence in my life. I am grateful because, even in the midst of storms, I can feel your embrace comforting me. I recognize that many times I have not been thankful for the small victories that surround me. May I open my eyes to perceive the blessings I have already received and that surround me, even when the clouds seem dark. Help me to see each step taken as an opportunity to glorify you. Today I also come in supplication, asking you to help me trust in your plans, even when I cannot see the way ahead. May I, like someone facing difficulties at work or in relationships, place my trust in you. May my faith be greater than my doubts, and may I move forward toward what I have dreamed. Lord, I know that healing, provision, and miracles come from you. May I surrender to you every worry that troubles me, and may I believe that you have control over all things. Lord, in the midst of the crises the world faces, may I be a channel of hope. Help me to offer my time, energy, and love to those who are struggling around me. May I be a reflection of your goodness, bringing relief to those in need. May I not only seek your help, but also be willing to act on behalf of others, just as Moses did when he answered your call. When I look at my dreams, I feel that many of them are asleep. Help me to revive them, Lord. May I act with faith, filling the vessels of my life with the hope that the miracle will come. May I not give up on fulfilling what you have placed in my heart, even when the obstacles seem insurmountable. May I remember that each small step counts, and that transformation begins with the willingness to believe. Today, I entrust to you the projects I have kept hidden. I know that the path may be uncertain, but I trust that you are the one who brings the provision and care I so desperately need. May I act as if the answer is already on its way, preparing myself to receive the abundance you have promised me. Just as the water in the jars, may I be willing to fill myself with expectation and faith, knowing that you will transform what is simple into something extraordinary. Lord, may my life be a testimony of your faithfulness. May I live with the certainty that every dream you have placed in my heart has a purpose. May I not allow fear to prevent me from moving forward. In every step I take, may I feel your presence and direction, knowing that you are with me in every decision I make. May my faith become a powerful testimony, encouraging others to also trust in you and to take their own steps toward the dreams you have given them. The story of Peter, the apostle, is a powerful example of how faith can lead us to overcome challenges that seem insurmountable at first glance. In the book of Matthew, chapter 14, verse 28, we find Peter asking Jesus to call him to come to him on the water. This passage teaches us that, even in the face of a storm, we can respond to God's call. Peter had the courage to get out of the boat, and that alone is a great act of faith. He did not hesitate to take the first step, even knowing the sea was rough. As he walked on the water, Peter noticed the strong wind and began to doubt. This doubt is something we all face in our lives. Many times when we encounter difficulties, we allow fear to prevent us from moving forward. But what we can learn from Peter is that even when doubt arises, we must keep our eyes fixed on Jesus. When he started to sink, he cried out, "Lord, save me." Matthew chapter 14, verse 30. This cry is a reminder that, in our moments of weakness, we can cry out to God, who is always ready to rescue us. Peter's courage in getting out of the boat invites us to reflect on our own challenges. What steps can we take toward our dreams, even when fear tries to paralyze us? Like Peter, we need to be willing to act, even when the situation seems adverse. The Lord does not call us to be perfect, but to have faith. He desires that we trust in Him, even when the circumstances are not favorable. It is interesting to note that before Peter walked on the water, he had to make that decision. He could have stayed in the boat, safe, but he chose to take a risk. Often in our lives, the fear of leaving our comfort zone prevents us from seeking what God has in store for us. Peter's story encourages us to be proactive, to trust that God will empower us to face any challenge. When we decide to take that step, even if small, we demonstrate our faith and willingness to receive what God has for us. This narrative also shows us that we are not alone in our journey. The presence of Jesus was essential for Peter. Just as He was there to help Peter, God is with us in all situations. When we feel distressed, we can remember that He is always ready to support and guide us, even in the most intense storms. This certainty gives us the courage to move forward, knowing that regardless of the difficulties, there is always a path to follow. When Peter finally returned to the boat with Jesus, the storm calmed down. This is a powerful image of the peace that God brings in the midst of chaos. When we trust Him and take steps of faith, we can experience the serenity that comes from His presence. This peace does not mean the absence of problems, but the assurance that even amid difficulties, we can find rest in God. He is our refuge and strength. As Psalm 46 verse 1 says, "God is our refuge and strength, a very present help in trouble." Therefore, As we look at the challenges we face, may we draw inspiration from Peter's faith. May we have the courage to step out of the boat of our insecurities and take steps toward the dreams that God has placed in our hearts. Even if the waves seem high, let us remember that we have a God who controls the storm and is always willing to help us. May each of us cry out to Him, just as Peter did, and experience the transformation that only He can bring into our lives. Throughout our reflection, we have learned that, even in the face of difficulties and uncertainties, God is always by our side, encouraging us to take steps of faith. It is essential to remember that every dream He has planted in our hearts has a purpose. We must not let fear prevent us from moving toward what He has prepared for us. Like Peter, we are called to leave the safety of the boat and face the storms of life with courage and confidence. The faith that moves us is the one that allows us to see beyond current circumstances. Sometimes, reality may seem challenging, but it is in moments like these that we should remember God's promises. He is ready to support and guide us, transforming our insecurities into victories. May we act with faith, just like Moses and Peter, knowing that when we take the first step, God will take care of the rest. So, as we look at our dreams and challenges, may we rekindle hope in our hearts. May each of us feel motivated to act, even if in small ways. And may this lead us to transformative experiences. May the peace of God surround us, reminding us that He is our refuge and strength in times of trouble. If this message has touched your heart, like and share it with those who need to hear it. Subscribe to our channel for more inspiring content. We would love to know, what dream are you ready to rekindle today? Leave your comment, and let our TMs strengthen our faith together.